Hi, and welcome back to Small Caps. I'm your host, Jess Holland. Today, we are chatting with ASX-listed International Graphite. The ticker code is IG6. Now, IG6 has just come out of trading halt, pending a massive mineral resource increase at its Springdale project in Western Australia, making this the second largest graphite deposit in Australia. Here to tell us more is the Managing Director and CEO, Mr. Andrew Worland. Hi, Andrew. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jess. Great to be with you. Thanks for the invitation.
Great. So, Andrew, firstly, can you elaborate on the significance of this recent mineral resource estimate at the Springdale project and how it sort of positions the company in the graphite industry as a whole?
Great, Jessica. Thanks. I'd be pleased to. We're thrilled with the results that came out. We got the final numbers on Sunday, and it was a great gift to have across the weekend to have the numbers firm up the way they did. We started with a mineral resource of 15.6 million tonnes at 6% TGC. We initiated a 20,000 metre drilling campaign in July of last year, and that concluded in about April, May of this year, and we finally got all the assays and the results back. We expanded that from 15.6 million tonnes to just on 50 million tonnes of ore, grading at 6.5% TGC. So we've had a 3.5 times uplift in the amount of tonnes and a 8% increase in grade. So a fantastic result. The plan was to expand the mineral resource and upgrade the classification of it, and we've certainly done that. We're taking 15 million tonnes of it completely inferred to 50 million tonnes or 49.3 million tonnes, of which 27% of that is in the indicated category. So we really did, if I can be modest and say we shot the lights out in terms of what we wanted to achieve, and which is a great credit to our exploration team and our technical team for doing that. And now we've really got the foundation to go ahead and complete all the feasibility work we do and put out the economic projections that we need to over the next 9 to 12 months to bring the project through to an investment decision.
Wow, that's amazing, Andrew. So now the independent estimate indicates a 3.4-fold increase in the graphite deposit size. So can you tell our audience what factors you think contributed to the substantial growth, and also how does it impact the company's sort of strategic vision? You did mention the 20,000 metres of drilling, but, some other factors you think might have contributed to that.
Well, look, we were very fortunate when we acquired the deposit from Comet Resources, which was the foundation asset for our IPO last April, to have a aeromagnetic survey that was completed across a portion of the tenements. And what that did was sort of highlight or focus where our exploration program should target. And so we clearly needed to infill the existing mineral resource as part of our ongoing technical work. But the anomalies that were shown up on that map gave us a great guide as to where we should drill further. And I think, as we said in our announcement, we've drilled about 20% of those aeromagnetic outcropping highlights, if you like, that are on that map. And it's a map that I put in every presentation I possibly can, because it shows in picture what I can't really describe well in words, which is just the real prospectivity of this particular tenements, the tenements that we have. And we've really conducted a bit of a truth test on those anomalies by doing this exploration program. So much of the increase in the resource from 15.6 to 49 million tonnes is because we followed those anomalies. And so it doesn't take much to extrapolate what success we might have if we just continued on drilling that exploration, those exploration targets, and where the resource might get to over 12 to 18 months, 2 years from today. So I think that's part of the significance of this announcement, is that we've got an enormous endowment potential on our property and our properties, and more than enough, ample enough graphite there to be able to lay the foundation for our technical work and our feasibility work.
Yeah, fantastic, Andrew. So just more specifically, so with 27% of the mineral resource now classified as indicated, what advantages do you think this provides for future technical and economic studies? And sort of more broadly, how will it shape your future development plans?
Yeah. So what's really exciting for us is that also in that announcement today was that 18 million tonnes of the 49 million tonnes sits in oxidised or transition rock. And so the importance of that, now the oxidised or the weathered material in these deposits averages 25 metres in depth. So we have mineralisations from 5 metres to 25 metres, can go as deep as 60 metres, but on average it's 25 metres. So you've really got a significant amount of material sitting at the upper echelons of these deposits, which means that that's going to translate into cheap mining costs, free dig operations in the weathered rock, and so we're just blessed by Mother Nature in many ways in that we've got a deposit that presents grade and it presents tonnes at surface. And of course, as we all know in the mining industry, grade's king, and then sort of location of that grade is second prize. So that's the significance of it from the resource perspective and how that's going to translate into reserves and to economic projections going forward.
Yeah, fantastic. So shallow, hugely shallow drill holes. So open pit mining.
That's correct. Yeah.
Cost curve. So looking good from an economic perspective. Yeah, that's great. So now,
yeah, it is. It's looking fantastic. Just obviously we're not at the point yet where we can make those forecasts, but that's the next body of work. And
yes.
What this resource does, the resource sort of confirms what the eyes have been seeing, which is fantastic.
Yeah, amazing. Now, International Graphite aims to become one of the first vertically integrated producers of battery anode graphite. Can you share some insights with our audience as to the company's strategy for achieving that goal and how the Springdale Graphite project specifically fits into that vision?
Okay, so the graphite industry historically is dominated by what you've heard, coarse and flake graphite deposits, and historically they've been the preferred deposits because they have this established industrial markets and established industrial uses and good cash flow from those particular markets. The evolution of the lithium-ion battery and the need for graphite is really going into is targeting those deposits that have got a finer flake characterisation in them, and that's all about relative to the processing cost associated with getting a flake deposit down to the level of micron required for input into the battery. And so the finer flake you start with, the more cost competitive you are on the curve with respect to getting your material into a battery. And so our deposit is fine flake throughout. We don't have to worry about the coarse flake markets or jumbo markets and industrial applications. We're a pure play on the lithium-ion battery and energy storage. And what we've tried to do and what we have established is the first of our downstream facilities in Collie. We've selected Collie as a site to be able to do our downstream processing work. Our goal will be to truck concentrates from Springdale. It's about 450 kilometres by road from the Great Southern in Western Australia up to Collie. And then we will process those concentrates into battery anode materials. So we'll go through the stages there of micronizing, spheritizing, purification, and ultimately coating, and get that product down to its highest value product possible, and get that out to the markets through Fremantle.
Right, so it sounds like you have all of the infrastructure sort of in place and ready to go. Now, you mentioned earlier that there's been quite limited exploration on your Springdale tenements, roughly 10 or 20%. You mentioned.
Yeah.
Now, how does that, the remaining potential of exploration impact your long-term growth prospects for that project?
Yeah. So look. Clearly, we've been talking about targeting a project that can produce 40 to 50,000 tonne of concentrate, a head grade of around 8 to 10% at the mine. So that puts you in sort of that 500 to 600,000 tonne per annum mining rate and ore processing rate down at Springdale. And so you can extrapolate what that might mean in terms of how many tonnes we've currently got in a resource and what that might mean from a mine life perspective. Without having to do the numbers for your viewers, clearly we've got many decades of graphite in ground at the moment. But, we're always looking to try and find the highest grade pods we possibly can. And clearly the higher grade that we can find, the cheaper or the lower cost we'll have of producing that concentrate down in Springdale. So we'll continue our exploration program following the proven model that we've established over the last 12 to 15 months and continue to build out the resource base. Ultimately, what we've got here in Springdale and being in Western Australia is we're going to be incredibly attractive to strategic investors and partners as they look to build out their capacity in the lithium-ion battery space and get their footprint on graphite. And as we all know, that ultimately the attractiveness of a company comes down to the scale of their resource and the quality of their resource. And so we're going to continue to work on that over the next 12 to 18 months and make it as bulletproof as we possibly can and as exciting as we can for potential strategic investors who are looking for 10, 20, 30, 50 years worth of secure supply.
Right. Now, speaking about that and scale, you've had another really exciting development, which is the discovery of graphite at Mason Bay. Now, what are your plans for further exploration and expansion of that resource?
We're definitely excited about that. We think there's potentially as much resource out there as there was in the existing resource that we inherited, in April of last year from Comet Resources. So I think you'll see we've seen in one of the figures in today's announcement that there's a resource area for Mason Bay, which is at least of the same scale as the existing resource area across at Springdale. It was a virgin discovery by our team. It's 2 kilometres to the east, so it fits perfectly into a sort of the mine planning and mine scheduling that we'd want to do around Springdale. I think there's an abundant opportunity there to significantly expand that deposit there at Mason Bay quite considerably.
Okay, fantastic. Now moving back to Springdale. So now it mentioned in the announcement that the graphite mineralization at Springdale is ideally suited for a streamlined flow sheet. Can you elaborate on that a little bit for our audience? And also how it integrates with the company's, graphite battery anode facilities in Collie in Western Australia?
Yeah, so it ties into the conversation I was having earlier regarding fine flake versus jumbo flake versus coarse flake. Now, very, very broadly speaking, when you have multiple potential flake products in your deposit, the scale of your concentrate processing facility has to be large enough to be able to accommodate those different streams of product. We've only got one product. And so therefore we'll have one flotation circuit, one set of cleaner circuits and so forth, and produce one concentrate grade. And so the simplicity of our process flow sheet is, again, due to Mother Nature. We've been blessed by the nature of the deposit. And so we will be scaling our facilities to suit the battery market, but also to suit the fact that we don't need to produce multiple products coming out of this mine.
Fantastic. Now, Andrew, you've covered all of these really exciting points and exciting developments. Congratulations. I just have one final question for you, and that is, can you give our audience just 2 or 3 key takeaways as to why they should potentially invest in IG6?
Well, I think we've clearly got the best jurisdiction. So, as I said before, strategic investors that are looking to get upstream into the mining space to secure their battery anode pathway and supply chain can do no better than look at Western Australia and Australia more broadly, but certainly Western Australia, ultimately the best mining jurisdiction in the world and the safest probably investment jurisdiction in the world. So we plan to offer that as the Springdale mine through to downstream processing in Collie that'll be unparalleled, we think, globally in terms of its supply chain efficacy. I would also say that the lithium-ion battery growth is exponential, and I'm sure I don't need to convince your viewers of that. Graphite's 95% of the anode in the lithium-ion battery. It's going to be in huge demand over the course of the next 15 to 25 years as we try and meet these global commitments to carbon reduction and so forth, and decarbonisation. So the graphite's involvement in that is real. It's going to be supply shortfalls. There are a few alternatives out there. The companies like International Graphite are there to be able to deliver into that. And I think ultimately we have the technical skill set, as we've demonstrated both so far at Springdale, but also in Collie, to bring these projects together and deliver a good offering for the lithium-ion battery market. And I think that's what should be attractive to all investors.
Well, Andrew, I think it's certainly a testament to your team and to your technical team, on the corporate level and technically, to be a newly listed company and to become today the second largest graphite deposit in Australia is huge testament to your team. So congratulations.
Well, thank you, Jess. And not just that, probably top 12 or so in the world that report JORC resources. So it's beyond Australia in terms of ranking as well. So it's globally a significant asset. Yeah, thank you for that. Those kind words. We're thrilled with what the team have done here.
Well, fantastic, Andrew. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time, and I really look forward to watching the company and having you back on for another chat soon.
Indeed, love to. Thanks, Jess.